Hello children, welcome to this video. In this video, we are going to learn the prose titled The Last Lesson, which is given in 10th Standard Samachir Kalvi as Chapter 6. Mother, motherland and mother tongue are three things to be loved, respected and preserved. Two districts of France, Alsace and Lorraine, were taken over by the Prussians during Franco-Prussian War. The Germans had a wicked plan to bring radical changes in the French culture. They ordered that German language must be taught in schools instead of French. Mr. Hamel, the schoolmaster, was a great patriot and seasoned teacher with an experience of 40 years. He came to teach participles on the last day. He was very much grieved. Not only the regular students but also some villagers attended his last lesson in French. Dressed in his best attire, with tears in his eyes, Mr. Hamel talked about the unique feature of his mother tongue, that is French. German would be taught from the next day, so it was the last lesson in French. Alphonse Daudet. He was born in the year 1840 and died in the year 1897. He was a French novelist and a short story writer. The last lesson is set in the days of Franco-Prussian War that is held from 1870 to 1871, in which France was defeated by Prussia, led by Bismarck. Prussia then consisted of what now are the nations of Germany, Poland and parts of Austria. That is, Germany, Poland and parts of Austria altogether can be called as Prussia in those days. In the story, the French districts of Alsace and Lorraine have passed into Prussian hands. Let us know the meaning of few words. Chopping, making a short, sharp, high-pitched sound, usually by small birds or insects. Bustle, move in an energetic manner. Unison, simultaneous utterance of words. Rapping, striking with a series of rapid audible blows. Thumbed, a book which has been read often and bearing the marks of frequent handling. Cranky, strange. Saar, a river in northeastern France and western Germany. Angelus, a Roman Catholic devotion commemorating the incarnation of Jesus and including the Hail Mary said at morning, noon and sunset. Vive la France is an expression used in French to show patriotism. It's difficult to translate the term literally into English, but it generally means long live France. Let us know the characters in the story. Little Franz, Mr. Hamel, Old Horser, the former mayor, Blacksmith, blacksmith's apprentice, the form of postmaster, the village people. Just know the parts of Europe, the France, Germany and the area which is marked in red is Alsace and Lorraine. The story Alsace and Lorraine, a part of the Europe which in between France and Prussia, that is the setting of the story, is in Alsace and Lorraine, a part of Europe which is in between France and Prussia. French and Prussians fought for this territory many times. This story arises at this place where many savage wars occurred. In 1870, Prussian army attacked part of Alsace and won, and this story begins with little Franz fearfully going to school. I started for school very late that morning and was in great dread of a scolding, especially because M. Hamel had said that he would question us on participles, and I did not know the first word about them. For a moment I thought of running away and spending the day out of doors. It was so warm, so bright. The birds were shopping at the edge of the woods, and in the open field back of the sawmill, the Prussian soldiers were drilling. It was all much more tempting than the rule for participles, but I had the strength to resist and hurried off to school. Now let us know the meaning of few words. Dread, fear. Chopping is short, sharp, high-pitched sound made by small birds or insects. Woods, forests. Drilling, training or the instruction given by the commanding officers to the soldiers. Resist, withstand to the action. Tempting, attracting someone even if it is wrong. Little Franz, fearfully going to school, and he is late. Several things comes into his mind. He has not prepared the lesson on the use of participles. The weather outside is warm and pleasant. The birds are chopping at the edge of the woods, but he overcomes his temptation as he is already late. When I passed the town hall, there was a crowd in front of the bulletin board. For the last 2 years, all our bad news had come from there. The last battles, the draft, the orders of the commanding officer, and I thought to myself without stopping, what can be the matter now? What is the meaning of bulletin board? Bulletin board? Notice board. It is a notice board. And draft, piece of writings. A piece of writings. He watches the crowd. The crowd were watching the bulletin board and wonders what can be the matter now. Bulletin board, notice board. That is, something was put up on the notice board. Since all the last battles are put up at the bulletin board, so everybody gathered there and watching the bulletin board. He wonders what could be the matter. So this is Franz, little Franz going to school, and he's fearful. Soldiers are drilling. Then, as I hurried by as fast as I could go, the blacksmith, the waiter, who was there with his apprentice reading the bulletin, called after me. Don't go so fast, Bub. You'll get to your school in plenty of time. I thought he was making fun of me, and reached M. Hamel's little garden all out of breath. The blacksmith watches Franz rushing him going to school and says, "Don't go so fast, bub. You'll get to school in plenty of time." So he makes fun of him. Hence, he quickens his step towards the school. Who is blacksmith? Who creates an object with the help of iron or steel? Apprentice, a person who is learning from a skilled labor. Bubby, little boy. Usually, when school began, there was a great bustle which could be heard out in the street. The opening and closing of desks, lessons repeated in unison, very loud, with our hands over our ears to understand better, and the teacher's great ruler rapping on the table. What's the meaning of bustle? Move in an energetic manner. Something which is moving in an energetic manner. Unison, simultaneous utterance of words. Sometimes we recite poem in unison. Simultaneous utterance of words. Rapping, striking with a series of rapid audible blows. Striking with a series of rapid audible blows. Usually, there was a great bustle in school. Franz has thought taking advantage of bustle, and he would quickly enter the class without being noticed. But this is not possible. The school is as quiet as Sunday. There is no rapping of ruler on the table or the children reciting in unison. He has no choice. He has to enter the classroom in front of all the students. But now it was all so still. I had counted on the commotion to get to my desk without being seen, but of course, that day everything had to be as quiet as Sunday morning. Through the window, I saw my classmates already in their places and M. Hamel walking up and down with his terrible iron ruler under his arm. I had to open the door and go in before everybody. You can imagine how I blushed and how frightened I was. That is, he thought of going without the knowledge of the students or the teacher. The school is as quiet as a Sunday. There is no rapping of ruler on the table or children reciting in unison. He has no choice. He has to enter the classroom in front of all the students. What is blushed? Blushed means showing shyness. But nothing happened. M. Hamel saw me and said very kindly, "Go to your place quickly, little Franz. We were beginning without you." Surprisingly, M. Hamel is not at all angry with him. He kindly tells him, "Go to your place quickly, little Franz. We have begun without you." What kind of news was usually put up on the bulletin board? Bad news such as the last battles, the draft, and the orders of the commanding officer were put up on the bulletin board. What was the usual scene when school began every day? When school began every day, there was a great bustle. It could be heard out in the street. They were the opening and closing of desks, lessons repeated in unison, and the teacher's great ruler rapping on the table. These were the usual scene. I jumped over the bench and sat down at my desk. Not till then, when I had got a little over my fright, and did I see that our teacher had on his beautiful green coat, his frilled shirt, and the little black silk cap all embroidered that he never wore except on inspection and prize days. Besides, the whole school seemed so strange and solemn. What is the meaning of frilled? A ruffled or gathered or pleated border. Solemn, formal and dignified. Formal and dignified. M. Hamel has worn one of the best dresses which used to wear during inspection and prize days. Franz noticed this, and at the back of the room, the villagers, including old Hauser, the former mayor, the former postmaster, sitting quietly. But the thing that surprised me most was to see on the back benches that were always empty. The village people sitting quietly like ourselves. Old Hauser with his three-cornered hat, the former mayor, the former postmaster, and several others besides. Everybody looked sad, and Hauser had brought an old primer thumbed at the edges, and he held it open on his knees with his great spectacles lying across the pages. So what is this? What is the meaning of this paragraph? The thing is, always at the back of the room, that is the villagers, including old Hauser, the former mayor, the former postmaster, were sitting quietly. Then the M. Hamel starts his speech in grave and gentle tone. Before that, let us know what is the meaning of old primer. That is the first textbook for learning or reading or writing the alphabets. That is the textbooks of basics. They are thumbed at the edges. What is the meaning of thumbed at the edges? Thumbed means a book which has been read often. That is the old primer, the book, the basic book, which has been read often and bearing the marks of frequent handling. So they are torn or folded at the edges. Everybody looked sad, and the Hauser had brought an old primer. As I told you, it refers to a first textbook, which are thumbed at the edges, and he held it open on his knees. Who held it open on his knees? Hauser, with his great spectacles lying across the pages. While I was wondering about it all, M. Hamel mounted his chair. While I was wondering about it all, M. Hamel mounted his chair and, in the same grave and gentle tone which he had used to me, said, "My children, this is the last lesson I shall give you. The order has come from Berlin to teach only German in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. The new master comes tomorrow. This is your last French lesson. I want you to be very attentive." What a thunderclap these words were to me! M. Hamel starts a speech in grief that is sad and soft tone. He said, "My children, this is the last lesson I shall give you. The order has come from Berlin to teach only German in Alsace and Lorraine. The new master comes only tomorrow to teach German. This is your last lesson." So unexpectedly, these words were to France. What is the meaning of thunderclap? Unexpected words. These are unexpected words to little France. Oh, the wretches! That was what they had put up at the town hall. My last French lesson. Why? I hardly knew how to write. I should never learn any more. I must stop there then. Oh, how sorry I was for not learning my lessons, for seeking birds, eggs, or going sliding on the shore. My books, that had seemed such a nuisance a while ago, so heavy to carry, my grammar and my history of the science, were old friends, and now that I could not give up. My and M. Hamel too. The idea that he was going away, that I should never see him again, made me forget all about his ruler and how cranky he was. The wretches, unpleasant or unhappy. The meaning of wretches, unpleasant or unhappy. So, the unpleasant information was put up at the town hall. It was put up on the notice board. Now things become very clear to France. Why there was a huge crowd near the bulletin board, and why M. Hamel has dressed in a best dress, and why villagers are sitting at the back benches. He realizes, and they all have come to pay respect to M. Hamel, language, and his 40 years of service. France was shocked to hear M. Hamel is going to deliver his last lesson. He said, "My last French lesson." Hardly, what is the meaning of hardly? Never. That is, he does not know to read or write the language, that is the French language. And it was a shocking news to him. And I should never learn any more. The books that were a burden to him now seemed to be his friends. M. Hamel asks France on the rules of participles and what he was doing when he was asked to learn his French lessons. He went out to find the birds, eggs, or he went sliding on the river Zar, and his books seemed to be a nuisance to him, and it was very heavy to carry his grammar book and even the history of saints. Saints, which was kind or patient persons. Give up, abandon. And M. Hamel too, the idea that he was going away, that I should never see him again, made me forget all about his ruler and how cranky he was. He forgot all about M. Hamel's scolding, and now he began to love him, and he even does not want to give up M. Hamel grammar and the French lessons. Cranky, very strange. Other than the students who were present in the class, the village people, old Hauser, the former mayor, the former postmaster, and several others were present in the class. Present, the spelling of present is P-R-E-S-E-N-T. Why did Mr. Hamel say it was the last French lesson? The order has come from Berlin to teach only German in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine, since the new master would come the next day. Mr. Hamel said that it was the last French lesson. Yes, children, I hope you might have understood the lesson. It is very interesting. Let us continue in the part 2. Thank you for watching.